Okay, this is Adam Schiff, and these are his opening remarks at that very serious impeachment hearing that he ran last week that was an absolute farce. His opening comments couldn't be further from the truth. They were just devoid of any reality about what took place at all during the phone call, and we're going to get to that transcript and go through it and show you just how much this guy can lie in the span of a couple of minutes. But first, I want you to hear what he had to say. It's absolutely incredible.
President Zelensky, eager to establish himself at home as a friend of the president of the most powerful nation on earth, had at least two objectives: get a meeting with the president and get more military help. And so what happened on that call? Zelensky begins by ingratiating himself, and he tries to enlist the support of the president. He expresses his interest in meeting with the president and says his country wants to acquire more weapons from us to defend itself. And what is the president's response?
Just a quick note here. Zelensky only brought up the weapons once, and you'll see in the transcript Trump had no problem with it. But let's just keep going.
Well, it reads like a classic organized crime shakedown. Shorn of its rambling character and in not so many words, this is the essence of what the president communicates. We've been very good to your country, very good. No other country has done as much as we have. But you know what? I don't see much reciprocity here. I hear what you want. I have a favor I want from you, though. And I'm going to say this only 7 times, so you better listen good. I want you to make up dirt on my political opponent, understand lots of it. On this and on that, I'm going to put you in touch with people, and not just any people. I'm going to put you in touch with Attorney General of the United States, my Attorney General, Bill Barr. He's got the whole weight of the American law enforcement behind him. And I'm going to put you in touch with Rudy. You're going to love him, trust me. You know what I'm asking, and so I'm only going to say this a few more times, in a few more ways. And by the way, don't call me again. I'll call you when you've done what I asked. This is, in sum and character, what the president was trying to communicate.
Okay, so that was Adam Schiff's take on the conversation. How he viewed it was close to a mafia thing than anybody else who got out of it. But we're going to go through this text of this conversation and see just how far off Adam Schiff really is, and that it was absolutely nothing like what he described. There's a lot of word twisting going on by Mr. Schiff. All right, and we're going to get down here at the beginning. Here's the start of the conversation. President Trump congratulates Zelensky on winning a very difficult election. Zelensky, as many of you may not know, was actually a stand-up comic in Ukraine. He got so fed up with the government, he decided to run. He was popular enough, and he got elected. All right. And then it gets down here to what Zelensky wants. This is what the Ukraine wants. A lot of this is about helping Ukraine clear up corruption in the country and protect them from the Russians. Well, yes, to tell you the truth, we're trying to work hard because we want to drain the swamp here in our country, meaning Ukraine. It's a very corrupt place. As you may know, it was mentioned 133 times in the Mueller report and was generally considered to be ground zero for the entire Russian collusion scam, okay, which has now, of course, fallen apart. And this is what the President in the United States and Attorney General Barr are right now trying to get to the bottom of with an investigation. This isn't about the 2020 election. This has to do with the 2016 election and what led up to it and what was going on over there. And then President Trump says, well, I will say we do a lot for Ukraine. We spend a lot of effort and a lot of time, much more than the European countries are doing. And they should be helping you more than they are. Germany does almost nothing for you. And then he goes on a bit about how Merkel and Macron don't do much. I wouldn't say that it's reciprocal necessarily because things are happening that are not good, but the United States has been very good to Ukraine. He's talking about reciprocity between Europe and Ukraine in aid, helping them. Okay? This has nothing to do with reciprocity on any sort of request. In this conversation, all they're talking about is how little the European Union nations are doing to help Ukraine compared to what they've pledged. All right? Reciprocity, help them out. All right? And then Zelensky agrees. Yes, you are absolutely right. Not only 100%, but 1,000%. I did talk to Angela Merkel, and I did meet with her. I also met with Macron, and I told them they're not doing as much as they need to be doing on the issue of sanctions. They are not enforcing the sanctions. Okay? The European Union is supposed to reciprocate by enforcing sanctions that are in place. All right, and then it goes on. The United States is a much bigger partner than the European Union, and I'm grateful to you for that because the United States is doing a lot for Ukraine. I would also like to thank you for your great support in our area of defense. We are ready to continue to cooperate for the next step. Specifically, we are almost ready to buy more javelins from the United States. Those are defensive weapons missiles. All right. Nowhere in here is there any sort of talk following reciprocity about anything to do with anything else other than Europe's apparent failure to live up to their commitments. And then in the next paragraph, Trump says to him, I would like for you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot, and Ukraine knows a lot about it. He's talking about the 2015-16 election cycle and what was going on in Ukraine that precipitated the Russian investigation. He goes on to say, I would like you to find out what happened with this whole situation with Ukraine. They say CrowdStrike. I guess you have one of your wealthy people. The server, they say Ukraine has it. There are a lot of things that went on, the whole situation. I would like to have Attorney General call you or your people. I would love to get, for you, meaning Ukraine, to get to the bottom of it. In other words, he's telling Zelensky he would like him to get to the bottom of the shenanigans that went on under the former government in Ukraine. All right. Now, bear in mind, Attorney General Barr has also been in touch with other leaders of other countries and other attorneys generals in other countries, including Australia, to find out what they know about the Russia probe, because this is what Barr is investigating currently, what went on back in 2016. And then at the end, Trump says, whatever you can do, it's very important that you do it if it's possible. There's no threat there. He said, if it's possible, if you can help us, please do. And Zelensky says, yes, it's very important for me and everything you just mentioned earlier. For me as president, it's very important. We are open for any future cooperation. We are ready to open a new page in cooperation relations between the United States and Ukraine, because for the last few years, the relationship has been a bit muddy with their old government, as it was so corrupt. I will personally tell you, Zelensky says, that one of my assistants spoke to Mr. Giuliani just recently, and we are hoping very much that Mr. Giuliani will be able to travel to Ukraine, and we will meet once he comes to Ukraine. I wanted to assure you once again that you have nobody but friends around us. All right? This was Zelensky bringing up Giuliani. Donald Trump, contrary to what the nitwit Mr. Schiff said, didn't bring up Mr. Giuliani. Zelensky did, because he knows that Giuliani has been paying and investigating a lot of the nonsense that went on regarding the Russia probe, as is being done by Attorney General Barr and Mr. Durham. Then further down, it's the President of the United States says, I will ask him to call you along with the Attorney General. That's Mr. Barr. Rudy knows very much what's happening, and he's a very capable guy. If you could speak to him, that would be great. Does that sound like a threat? No, it sounds like encouragement. There's a lot of talk about Biden's son, that Biden stopped the prosecution. A lot of people want to find out about so whatever you can do with Attorney General Barr would be great. All right, this Biden's son issue is tied to the Burisma Oil and Gas Company. This was a company that was started by a former government official who ran the energy sector of Ukraine, awarded himself a whole bunch of contracts to do drilling and exploration, raised some money, and formed this little gas company that grew and grew and grew. All right. It's important to bear in mind that the founder of that company hired Hunter Biden, and shortly thereafter was forced to leave the country, and he fled back to Russia because he was under investigation. At that time, the British had seized his bank accounts. There was a lot of money laundering going on. There was a lot of bribes being paid out. There was a lot of shenanigans to do with Burisma. And the question about why Biden's son took that job is a big one. What happened? How much money did he make on this deal, working for this extremely corrupt company, okay? Unbelievably corrupt. So corrupt that John Kerry, Senator John Kerry, the former Secretary of State, his stepson was in a business, a hedge fund partnership with Hunter Biden. They'd gone to Yale together. And Kerry's stepson dissolved their business partnership as soon as he took the job in Ukraine because it was so corrupt, so dirty, and just looked so bad. All right. Hunter Biden has a very checkered past. A lot of the things he's done are legally questionable between Ukraine and in China, and that's a story for another day to do with $1.5 billion he got from some people that eventually several of them have gone to jail or just vanished. President Zelensky goes on, I wanted to tell you about the prosecutor. First of all, I understand I'm knowledgeable about the situation. Since we have won an absolute majority in the parliament, the next prosecutor general will be 100% my person, my candidate, who will be approved by the parliament and will start as a new prosecutor in September. We're in September. Surprise, all this is coming out now. Because the Democrats are absolutely terrified what they're going to find if the Ukrainian government starts to cooperate with William Barr and Mr. Durham. This is what it's all about what happened in 2015 and 16, not 2020. He or she will look into the situation specifically to that company that you mentioned in the issue. That's Burisma Oil. The issue of the investigation of the case is actually the issue of making sure to restore the honesty so we can take care of that, and we'll work on the investigation of the case. On top of that, I would kindly ask you if you have any additional information that you can provide to us. It would be very helpful for the investigation to make sure that we administer justice in our country. Again, this is Zelensky asking Donald Trump for help with his own investigation within his own country, because of the corruption that actually put him in power. All right. And the United States knows a lot about it because of the Mueller investigation and all of the data that was gathered around the world and how it all pointed back to Ukraine. It was in the Mueller report 133 times. Ukraine is ground zero for the Russia probe. This is something the Democrats don't want to talk about. The president says, I'm going to have Mr. Giuliani give you a call. I'm also going to have Attorney General Barr give you a call, and we'll get to the bottom of it. I'm sure you will figure it out, meaning Zelensky will figure out what happened. In other words, he's offering the United States' help in solving their own corruption problem, which is key to restabilizing that country after the last administrations were thrown out for stealing everything that wasn't nailed to the floor. Zelensky goes on, I also want to assure you that we'll be very serious about the case and we'll work on the investigation. He says, we will have more time and more opportunity to discuss these opportunities and to get to know each other better. I would like to thank you very much for your support. Does that sound like he's been threatened? No, of course not. Good. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it. I will tell Rudy and Attorney General Barr to call you. Thank you. Whenever you would like to come to the White House, feel free to call. Give us a date, and we'll work that out. I look forward to seeing you. All right? That is not how Mr. Schiff said, don't call us, don't call you. No, there he is. He's point blank saying, come to Washington, come see us. Zelensky says, thank you very much. I would be very happy to come and would be happy to meet with you personally and to get to know you better. Okay, we can work that out. I look forward to seeing you in Washington and maybe Poland, because I think we're going to be there at that time. In the previous paragraph, Zelensky mentioned a possible meeting in Poland or some other European matter, NATO matters. Zelensky said, thank you very much, Mr. President, and Trump says, congratulations on a fantastic job. All right. Now, if anybody can read that with a straight face and say it was Trump threatening him in any way, no. What Donald Trump is doing in there, he's threatening the Democrats because he's now enlisting the help of the leader, the new leader of a country that was the center, the epicenter of the entire Russia probe and all of the corruption that went on. And unfortunately for Joe Biden, his kid was working for a company that was a key player in much of the corruption that went on in Ukraine. All right, this is the problem, but it's going to get sorted out. And if anybody thinks this phone call was impeachable, it was an impeachable offense, they're absolutely out of their minds. All right, have a good day.